Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. I have a brand new release from Tissot to share with you. This is their 38mm PRX, which is an all new case size for the PRX. And this one is done in Damascus steel, which is unique. You don't find this in the watch market that often. In fact, I can't think of another mainstream brand that has attempted to do a Damascus steel watch. So it's unique when it comes to a couple different elements, and I think it looks really sharp in person, and I'm excited to share the details with you. Thanks to Saltzman's Watches for lending in this for a review. Saltzman's is a family-owned Tissot AD in Rhode Island. They also carry Hamilton, Oris, Heuer, Breitling, a number of awesome brands, and they've given me a generous discount code to share with you. So if you're shopping this new release or any of the brands that they carry, definitely check out Saltzman's Watches and take advantage of that discount code. I've linked it below. Now, I have to admit, the 38mm case size looks and feels pretty great on my wrist. I can personally pull off the 40mm PRX just fine. I've owned the 40 in years past, but it is admittedly kind of a wide and dominant wearing case. So this design scaled down to 38, it makes it comfortable, and I think it will open it up to more consumers who just can't quite do the 40, but they're not interested in the 35mm option. To me, this wears more like a 39, perhaps even a 39.5mm watch, and you can see that when I compare it visually with my 40mm Christopher Ward 12. You can see that they're very similar size-wise. You can notice that the Tissot is slightly smaller, but it's really not by much. So again, this Tissot, it really feels closer to a 40 than it does to a 38, and I think a lot of watch collectors are going to enjoy that. In fact, I think this is going to become the most popular PRX size. I think Tissot will eventually expand into a traditional stainless steel that's not Damascus steel. I think they're going to do traditional dial colors and textures. Right now, they offer this size in Damascus steel, and then they've done two different dials in titanium. So there is currently a more traditional option for those of you that aren't interested in Damascus steel. But again, I think this is going to be a sweet spot in terms of sizing and proportions for a lot of watch collectors. Now, the case lines are clean. They're well machined, there are no hot spots, and there is a lot of visual interest with all of the layering of the Damascus steel. And how Tissot created this, they've done it by powder metallurgy. So they take their metallic powders and they place them in a mold, and then they press the mold at extremely high temperatures, and that fuses the particles together into one block of layered steel, which they then machine into this case, the end links, the bezel, the buckle, and of course the dial. So no two Damascus steel PRXs will look exactly the same. And I love that. Again, you just don't see Damascus steel done in watches that often. Here it is next to a Damascus steel knife that I was given by a very kind and talented viewer. You can see that there is some differences in terms of the tone, but the layering is very similar. It's very artistic, and I'm just happy to see it here in this watch. Now, there's one thing that I've noticed that I really want more of with this 38mm PRX, and that is a bracelet. I think this watch would be so cool on a full Damascus steel bracelet. And admittedly, that's probably cost prohibitive. It would probably make the retail price a bit too high for most consumers. I totally get that, but man, how cool would this be with a full Damascus steel bracelet? I'd be first in line if Tissot were ever to make that available in the future. I think that would take what's already a very unique watch, a very artful watch, just up to the next level in terms of uniqueness and rarity in the watch market. Now, the buckle here is also Damascus steel, and I want to mention that it's not dainty. It's not just a traditional buckle. I think it fits the aesthetic of the PRX case well, and so in that regard, it feels cohesive. And just for reference, my wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference. This one definitely feels good on the wrist. If you like the PRX, but you just don't care for the 40 and you don't like the 35, I do think you will really enjoy this one. Overall, again, a very smart move on the Swatch Group part to do this PRX in 38 millimeter. Now let me show off the a little bit more of the Damascus steel with some close-ups. Because this is steel, because the dial steel, the bezel steel, obviously the case is Damascus steel, there's a definite amount of natural light reflectivity, and that's even found in the darker layers of the steel. So this watch stands out. You notice it. It's exceptionally eye-catching and interesting, but at the same time, it's not overly distracting. Yes, it's a little bit distracting, and that's a fun thing, but it's not overly distracting, if that makes sense. It's no dive watch in terms of contrast, but I have had no issues in reading the time at a glance. I think Tissot was wise to place effective ARC or anti-reflective coatings on this flat sapphire crystal. That helps the overall user experience. Now, taking a look at the crown and the case back, that is matte finish stainless steel. And I think those elements blend in with the Damascus steel elements well. They don't stick out. Even when you're looking at the crown or the case back, there's an overall cohesive feel with this Damascus steel variation. Now, are there any specific negatives with this watch? Honestly, not really. The movement is very solid for this price. The finishing, the details, the accuracy, just how exciting it is, how unique it is, it's all on point. This is a well-made watch. I guess you could argue that the lume is rather weak, but I would expect that on a watch that has small amounts of application. This is no diver. This is a watch that will do the job when you go from a light condition to a dark condition, at least for, half an hour or so. So, yes, the lume isn't awesome, but you're not buying this watch for a ton of lume, if that makes sense. Now, the only thing I really noticed that I want more of, again, is a Damascus steel bracelet. I think if Tissot ever does that, that would just be a very exciting thing, and I'd be all in on that. The leather is fine. I'm sure you can order this on a rubber strap at some point, or Deluxe might make a great aftermarket strap option, but I'm personally holding out hope for a bracelet. I think this watch is for the collector who wants something interesting, who wants something unique and outside the norm, something that's fun to spice up the watch rotation on occasion. Maybe the collector that already has their bases covered with conservative daily drivers, and they just want something that's a conversation starter, something to make them smile on the odd day that they put this on to wear it around. Sure, you could wear this as a daily driver. It's functional enough. It has a great movement. It meets all the criteria for a daily driver. It just feels more like a wild card accent type watch, and I think that's a good thing. Reach out with any questions you may have. Definitely use my discount code with Saltzman's watches. I have bought from Saltzman's personally many times over the years. I wholeheartedly recommend them, and a link is below. If you got something from this video, please like, please subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.